That didn't happen.
That would be unprofessional, and that would be
Not
counter
20 seconds ago.
to how we run this very professional,
Yeah.
not needlessly complicated stream that we call Toast to Toast AM.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers, everybody.
If you could travel in time, either in the past or the future, where would you go or when?
That's a very, very, very good question. And it would depend. May I ask, for example, am I able to make more than one trip, or am I able to only choose one time and go back and remain?
Well, let's say, for example, just once.
Just once. My answer then is I would go back to the time of Jesus. Seems like a stock answer, huh? But it's not. I would want to see that. I don't know. Would I try and interfere in some way? I don't have that answer. But
now he's in my wheelhouse.
Here's an interesting historical aside. So regardless of your opinion of the existence of Jesus, or never say, that particular period is in Western culture, because that's Julius Caesar into Julius, as Caesar Augustus.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really interesting shit going on at that point in Western civilization. That would actually be a very interesting time to show up, depending where you are. There's a lot of places where that would be a very terrible. Most of the globe, that wouldn't be a particularly nice time of the world.
So there's other things to consider, of course. Yeah. I would not want to go. So I don't speak ancient Greek, for example.
No, Latin. Latin would get you through.
Latin would get you through some things. I don't.
Which you and I also don't speak Latin. I think, yeah.
So there's other. If I have to go, like the scenario that was presented, Art, was you have to travel and you got to stay there.
I mean, if you're talking about where you would be able to be understood by anybody native, you can't go like that far back.
Like 1800s is probably the most.
No, you go farther than that. Like there would be idiosyncrasies. I'm too drunk. Idiosyncrasies. Idiosyncrasies. You could go back quite a few hundred years more than that in England and still be basically up to the Great Vowel Shift. Even before that, it would be tough, but it would be close enough that they would probably understand the gist of what you were saying for a lot of words. Even to like trying to think of my old Middle English classes, 12, 13. I'm trying to think like Chaucer times. Like Chaucer would, and people around him.
It's true. Yeah,
you would be able to make yourself understood enough to get ideas and stuff across, and you would pick it up eventually. Right. Yeah.
Carson Turnbull, I will never stop shilling for Assassin 33 AD, which is, Dave, exactly what we're talking about. So Assassin 33 AD is literally people who are of the Islam faith.
Yeah, Islamic.
They go back. They want to stop Christianity from happening. They have time travel access, and they go back to kill Jesus so that he can't die on the cross.
Everyone good? Check out. Find him.
But now, I readily admit that I am not an expert on the Islamic faith. And I've never read the Quran ago. But my understanding is that Jesus is in fact a important figure in the Islamic faith.
Correct.
In a way. Right?
Correct.
Like that is
actually the most Muslim apologists would agree that their book, as far as I understand it, the Quran teaches that Jesus didn't actually die on the cross.
Right. Okay.
And that the reason why he was still alive was that he didn't actually die. But what they went back in the movie, they go back to stop the idea or the popular belief that he rose.
We can't kill him. Jesus is a prophet. We should honor him.
Yes, and that's what we will be doing. When he died, his disciples created the resurrection myth, which gave birth to Christianity. We can correct that.
It's a weird movie, but anyway, it is literally this premise that the people go back to Jesus's time.
Right.
To try to stop the events of that day. So that's why someone was bringing up Assassin's 33 AD. Olivia Williams reminds me of the Terminator spoof where you go back to protect Jesus. That was a Mad TV skit.
It was Mad TV. I was thinking that, yes.
I'm programmed to protect you.
Stop! Stop killing Judas!
So Dave, but the question here was, he said, Art wants to go back to 33.
Yeah.
Or 30 or whatever. He wants the Jesus's time. The trouble is, in this scenario, he's going back and he's going to be stuck there. So that's fine. So he will know for sure. He can theoretically go to Jerusalem. He'll know the Passover at certain days.
Yeah.
I'm starting to do Brad Pitt in 12 Monkeys with my fingers. But he's going to go back in time. So he will know for sure whether Christianity is true or not, which is great for him personally. But he'll then be stuck there.
It's funny. So, like, as you know, Paul, and some of the people on this channel might know that I'm not a historian in that I'm not an academic historian.
You're
I
a
do
history
not have a history
enthusiast.
degree. I am a fan of history enthusiast. I have listened to many podcasts and interviews with very legitimate historians with a lot of books, a lot of academic credentials and most historians, when you ask them, when in history do you want to live, will say now, because now is so much better than unless you are the fucking king of France. It sucks. It sucks to live in almost any point in human history except now. We have it so much better than
So you are
like
absolutely...
you said. It's like, cool, great. I get to see, was Jesus a real person? Did he die on the cross? Whatever. Great, good. Now I'm stuck in a world.
That's right.
The Roman Empire, 33 AD.
Right. You've anticipated where I'm going with this. Yes, absolutely. Because just from my setting aside personal relationships, okay, well, I obviously want to see my kids and meet my grandchildren and all those kind of those are things that I want. So, but if you can set those aside, for some reason somehow, no, obviously I want to go into the future. I don't want to. The future is going to be better.
Hopefully.
I mean, the trouble is you don't know. Am I going to jump so far that humanity is no longer a thing? I
mean, is there going to be a civil war in the U.S. in 50 years?
Well, or
who knows? But right now it's pretty good. Just stick with right now.
COVID-19 did a certain, but COVID-96 may well wipe us out. I don't know.
Yeah.
But going backward, if it's literally you're going it's one trip, one time, and that's where you're going to spend the rest of your time. Screw the past.
Yeah. There's nothing good about the past.
No.
Like I said, unless you're the 0.002% cream of the crop.
Right. If I can take all, if I'm making trips back and coming, obviously, then it's I can go by and go into 95 when Apple stock was the lowest price it ever was and buy it then. Sure. It was
cool. Yeah.
Cool.
Great.
But,
that'd be good.
Yeah.
But going to even the last century, the thing people refrigeration didn't exist. Every winter was I hope we have enough food. Doesn't matter how rich you are. It's it turns out we've had drought 2 years in a row. So there just isn't enough fucking food.
Yeah.
Sorry. End of story. Typhoid, cholera, all these people do not understand how good life is compared to literally every single year of human history pre-1950.
Exactly. So I love our answer.
They're all bad.
Given my current endeavor, hey man, if I could go back with my cell phone and go back to 33 AD and record
if you could go and visit and leave, great. There's a whole bunch of places in human history. I would go visit. I would check. I would stand on a hill and watch this event happen, or be at this thing, or go. And there's certainly high points and places that's great, cool, good. But if you're nah, you this is it. This is where you are forever. No.
Yeah.
No. I will go to a place where they don't believe that the human body has 4 humors that have to be in balance. Oh, you're too phlegmatic. We got to puncture your liver.
Right. And how much toothpaste do I get to bring back with me? Because that's not a thing I can get there.
How much fucking penicillin do I get to bring with me? How much? Yeah.
So anyway, I don't like Art's answer here. Sorry.
I don't like Art's answer.
That is, I could only do it once. I would want to see that because, after all, that answers, does it not, the biggest question that mankind really has. And I know that a lot of you say it's no question, you idiot, read the Bible. But the question was, where would I go? And that's my answer. I would want to see that. East of the Rockies,
So that actually wouldn't necessarily, what it could do is eliminate one answer potentially.
Yeah.
If all you cared about was I want the one answer to at all, then what you should choose is I want to go to the start of the universe. right?
Like the Big Bang, like way back,
whatever, or you'd want whoever's traveling you, like maybe the Big Bang isn't the start of all things.
Whatever it is.
Maybe that's the only start of our particular instantiation of space time, and maybe there were like 900. Maybe there are an infinite number of universes before us. So what you want to get to is the first one. But because what if Christianity is false, as I suggested it might be, you would see a carpenter crucified. You'd go follow him, and you'd say where he was buried, and maybe he's buried in a proper tomb, or maybe he's not. Maybe he's left, as most of them were, left for crows to pick at.
Are you?
Yeah.
I apologize for drilling you. You would know better than me. What's the term? So, are you a person who believes that there was a human being that?
Oh, I think there's. I think it is. I think.
What's the word I'm looking for?
So there's there's a mythicist position, which is that Jesus didn't exist.
Yeah.
And then there's a sort of a historicist would say that, okay, well, there was at least a figure that it was based upon, much in the way that you would imagine.
Which would be my point of view, where it's like, it's more reasonable to believe there was some kind
so
of
it's in the same way that's like, was there a Johnny Appleseed? Yeah, okay, I kind of buy that maybe there was a dude that was doing this, and that's how or was there a Paul Bunyan? It's like, well, maybe there wasn't a guy named Paul Bunyan, but probably some of those stories were based on a lumberjack or several lumberjacks.
Or more, like a Mithridates or Buddha or whatever.
Right. So in that way, I think
somebody who was spreading these teachings.
Right. And part of the reason why I think so is literally, the thing that most convinces me is that the memories seem to continue to insist that he was a Nazarene, and people had to keep coming up with weird reasons why the guy who was known to be from Nazareth was actually from Bethlehem, and in competing ways, that it's kind of like, oh, well, if it was like entirely fictional, wouldn't you just have made him from Bethlehem instead of... So I feel like there was probably someone from Nazareth
who was a influential, charismatic religious leader at the time.
Right, who, or at least portions of the historical memory came from.
Yeah.
So I think that knew happened. And now I've lost track of where we were going with all of this. But
neutrinos.
Anyway, that caller is done. How's your drink doing?
Done. Yeah. My drink's mostly empty. We can end this anytime.